Yes, I love this land. It takes my breath away.
Welcome to Texas 10. I'm still Melissa.
And I'm hungry Steve today.
And you are hungry because it smells so good. We are here at Helberg's Barbecue in Waco, Texas. We're here with Philip and Yvette, the masters. And I'm just going to tell y'all, I am so sad. Actually, the restaurant is closed today. They're filming. And I am drooling because it smells so good. And it is good. So.
Well, first, Philip, Yvette, thank you so much for stopping by today. Like you said, we're at Helberg's. We're on just off Highway 6, State Highway 6 in Waco. And why don't we just start by introducing yourselves, and we'll start talking about how you got here.
Great. Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you so much for having us. I appreciate it.
All right. So, Philip, you're a Texan, right?
That's right.
And Yvette,
I am not a Texan.
you are
You
a...
can say
I'm a
it,
Californian.
But now you
But
are.
now I'm a Texan.
You know, there's a saying, you got here as quick as you could.
I did.
And we're good with that.
Within a year of marriage, I was in Texas.
All
And I
right.
will tell you, there's nothing that says Texas culture more than barbecue.
That's
So
right.
we're so glad you're here.
All right. So, you guys started, I think, selling in 2018. Is that right?
That's right.
Here.
Yeah,
Okay.
here when we opened our trailer, we did a year of catering prior to that when we were still living in California.
Okay.
And then we moved here and opened the trailer 2018.
So back up just a little bit. I mean, if anyone knows anything about barbecue, it is a lot of work. How did you become interested in the food industry and barbecue, and how did
Yeah.
you even get here?
I kind of grew up around the food industry. I remember being young and like my mom waiting tables and things like that. And then it was like my first job in high school, working fast food. Ended up working on a cruise ship later, and like when I was 19, 20 years old, 21.
That's probably a whole nother episode.
That is multiple. That's a season.
That is a season.
Yeah, that's a season. And that's actually where I met Yvette. And so that's where I learned fine dining and like kind of the more elevated hospitality and everything. And so then kind of fast forward, living in California, newly married.
Missing Texas.
Yeah, just being crazy, homesick, and visiting a lot. And just started cooking in the backyard, and I got bit by the bug, and really infatuated with the challenge of it and cooking with fire.
Well,
So,
I do understand a little bit. When you can't get the food you love, you have to figure out how to make it. We lived in Germany, and I'm just going to say they don't have barbecue or Tex-Mex.
Definitely
and so,
not. Yeah.
So we didn't get quite bit by the bug.
No. So, well, let's ask Yvette. Were you bitten by the bug at the same time
No.
he was? No.
No.
So did he? How did he talk you into this?
We got married. I mean, that was pretty much it. I had no dream of going to the culinary world.
Okay.
I was a public relations major in college. I had every intention on working in Major League Baseball. That was the route that I was planning on working in. I went to job fairs and worked in collegiate summer ball leagues, met a bunch of scouts, and that was like my trajectory. Then I met my husband.
Wow.
Now that's a love story to give
That
that
is.
up to make barbecue.
Okay. So now a very important question. Now that you're a Texan, Rangers or Astros?
Neither. I'm a Dodgers fan.
Dodgers.
She's still a
fan.
Dodgers
I
fan.
will die a Dodgers
Okay.
fan.
So.
Well, I
But
appreciate that.
she would
You should stay
definitely
true.
root for.
I'll root for the Rangers.
Okay.
before our. So yeah, and another
But you're from Houston, right?
He's a Red Sox
but
fan.
I'm actually a Red Sox fan. That's another episode.
Okay, all right.
But,
Well, we are Rangers fans.
Right.
Our
son is a
in-
Rangers
yeah.
fan.
Okay.
Good.
There
We
you
told
go.
Raise
him,
it
I told him,
right.
you can pick any team but the Yankees, the Giants, and the Astros.
Those are the.
Okay, I don't know about the Astros, but the Giants and Yankees.
You can't
definitely,
pick
yes.
those three,
Okay.
and he picked
And,
the
and he
Rangers.
did pick the Rangers before they won the World Series. So
Good
credit
for
to
him.
him.
Good for him.
Yes.
Credit to him.
Wayne
for
is
that.
your son, right?
Yes.
Wayne's
Wayne is
smart-
obviously a
smart
very
boy.
smart little
He is.
boy.
He is.
Very wise.
Okay. All right. So
Let's get back to barbecue.
Right. He marries you. He talks you into it, and you actually start trying this in California. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So was
started
your
doing
first
local.
catering barbecue?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We started just doing small little office parties, birthday parties, things like that. We had a few pop-ups at our house where we just, neighbors and people in the surrounding community could come get a plate or bulk, by the pound. And then we started to take it a little bit more seriously. Originally, we wanted to do just events. And then we just started going more toward the retail side of things, that idea. And I really wanted to do a trailer and just thought that would be the best route to go. It's more consistent and everything.
So
It can't be a cheap endeavor. I mean, meat's expensive.
Yeah,
So that
there's
was
a lot
kind
more
of-
now than it
Yeah,
was
our
then, too.
son-in-law is a small business lender, so
Okay.
you had to have maybe taken some risks, or
Definitely.
I mean,
yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, our first
Leap
trailer
of
we
faith.
bought in the parking lot of Walmart in Greenville.
Yeah. It was like a Craigslist.
We met the guy like 8:30 at night
Yeah.
in the parking lot of Walmart.
that was a little dicey.
But it was $5,000, so
Yeah, it was the right
that is
price.
why we did
It was
it.
the right price for a food trailer. That was supposed to be ready to go, wasn't really ready to go. We spent a couple more months kind of renovating it and getting it, up to code at least and ready for our operation. And it was an old camper from the 1950s. It wasn't like a food trailer. So we converted it. And then, yeah, we did it as cheap as we possibly could and just went for it.
So now, being a pit master, it is a skill. Who were your influences, and who did you learn from, or did you just self-teach yourself?
I was self-taught. I mean,
Wow.
I had influences just from going around the state and trying other barbecue that I liked, and so I followed a lot of these guys on social media and everything, and like the Miller family, Louis Miller
Right.
and John Miller. Actually, John Miller, who is now passed, was her first Texas barbecue experience.
Was,
His
huh?
his trailer on 6th
Well,
Street.
you
right,
just
set the bar pretty
started
high.
out hot.
right?
Did.
Then you just said, okay, it's all like this, right? Like it's
Basically, I was like, okay.
But like
Get
we were
it.
always just paying attention to kind of like the atmospheres and obviously the food too. But I remember specifically when we went to 2M Smokehouse just outside of San Antonio, and when we went to Truth in Brenham, and we saw those places, and I mean they're like shacks basically,
Right.
Yeah.
and they're serving like the best barbecue I'd ever had, and it was just motivating. That like, okay, if they can pull this off
Right.
out of these circumstances, what's our excuse? So that was sort of like the motivation and influence.
So did you go to any? There's all the contests, and did you ever do any of the contests or go to any of that?
No, never was really motivated in that direction. I just, from pretty early on, I did figure out that there is a pretty big difference between competition style and restaurant style barbecue.
I had guessed that, but can you explain what maybe that difference is?
Yeah, absolutely. For competition, you're cooking everything with the intention of the judges having one bite. And so you have to pack an intense amount of flavor into that one bite that they're going to take of brisket or ribs. And it's to the point where you couldn't really, one, it's not cost efficient whatsoever to do on a commercial scale, but also it's not something you would want to sit down and eat a half pound of.
Right.
Like I actually did my first competition this last fall, was hired by a company that wanted it. They were bringing me in as a ringer to compete against other similar companies. And that was when I had to hit up Ernest Cervantes at Burnt Bean, because he came from the competition world, and our good friend Brett Boren, who also did a lot of competitions, and just get back to the books and the literature and everything. I'm like, okay, difference between competition and what I, am used to cooking. And so it's like, it's injecting and saucing and all these things that we don't really do. But yeah, it was an interesting challenge for sure.
So, Yvette, it sounds like he immerses himself in,
Yeah.
right? Sort of, would obsessive be too much to say?
He just dives right in and goes 100% into everything he does.
Okay, and I know you have a 6-year-old, and that sort of tracks the time, or closer to the time you're here.
Yeah.
So talk about the challenges of you, and we'll go through the story. You've grown this great business now, but you also have grown a family, and so how does that work? Because I know it's so time both of them are very time consuming.
Yeah. Well, the first 2 years, we missed a lot of our son's life. I was still working full time.
Yeah.
Overtime.
I was
overtime, because I was doing admin work, which I still do, and then I was working in the store too. So he was either at grandparents a lot, or he would be in a little bumble seat next to the register with me,
Or a little pack and play.
or a little pack
or
and play on the
bouncer.
ground next
Right.
to me. Like, we had our variations of it.
We have some old videos of him being in one of those like walker things that you can put him on that's on wheels.
And
where
he would
they
go
just-
around the restaurant.
Around the restaurant, in the dining room.
But I'm sure he probably, really encouraged the patrons. They probably loved it.
They love,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's been cool because we've had patrons that have been with us since then. And for them to see him now, they're like, we remember when he
Right.
was just bouncing on the clothing rack over there and broke it. I was like, yeah, like it's really cool to like have those memories.
Right.
Okay,
But we
so
did
he's
miss a lot.
6.
He's 6 now.
Does he like barbecue?
Yes.
All right.
He likes it.
He
fine,
did say
yeah.
at his kindergarten graduation that he wants to be a baseball player and a pit master when
Yeah.
he grows
Oh,
up.
That made
So
me very
heavy
proud.
influences. on
Super,
this.
yeah.
very,
That was out of
very
nowhere.
proud.
I was like, really?
Right.
Okay.
Well, I don't know a lot of they macaroni and cheese and
So-
chicken
He
bites.
eats
Our
his fair
son's-
share of mac and cheese.
Our son's palate's actually very interesting because he'll eat a barbecue, yes, but he will eat. Okay, example, butcher seller.
Yeah, he'd prefer steak.
He would prefer a
He'd prefer
steak.
like a medium rare. He has expensive taste.
He has
actually.
really expensive taste.
Yeah.
Medium rare steak. He loves on the 1,000-layer potato at Butcher Cellar. They put a trout roe on top. He will scrape
He'll just
off.
eat the roe.
He'll eat the trout roe.
like
but
caviar,
will leave the
basically.
potatoes.
All right.
Well,
so
so
Wayne's
he's
going
a
to be like a
foodie.
food critic.
Yeah.
He's a
That's
foodie.
right.
He could be, yeah. He
We
definitely
learned
could be.
recently the difference between gourmet. Well, no, you didn't. It was my book club. We learned the difference between gourmet and foodies. We read Ina Garten's.
Oh, yeah.
memoir, so,
All
whatever.
right, so let's get back to the story.
Yes.
So, how did you get to Waco to do this?
Yeah, so I had some family that went to Baylor.
Sikkim?
Sikkim,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And while we were doing our road trips that we were doing from California at this
Many
point,
road trips.
probably
from
one,
California.
quarterly, let's say, for a couple of years.
And they were true road trips. You're driving.
We
drove
went 24 hours straight.
24 hours of I-10 straight
I
from
love
LA
to drive, but I'm not sure that's how I like to do
We
it.
were
That's a lot.
21.
Yeah, we were
you
really
know,
young. It
we were
wasn't bad.
21, and it was like we just said, hey, no matter what, we got a strategy, and it worked really well. No matter what, you switch every 3 hours. No matter if you drive 3 hours and you're like, oh no, I still feel
Right.
fine. You switch no matter what. And then when you do it in 3 hour chunks, like you can get little naps in here and there. And 3 hours is not, usually a long enough time, even if you're tired, to get dangerous.
Right.
And so we would just drive straight through, 24 hours straight through, and only stop to go to the bathroom. And it worked. But
All
anyway,
right.
we
Good.
visited Waco a handful of times during those travels. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention while we were here because
Okay.
it wasn't somewhere I thought we would
Right.
end up personally. But here we are.
All right. So, and you'd mentioned you grew up around Houston, in Houston.
Around, yeah, just
Okay.
north of Houston.
All right. So up in the Woodlands
Yep,
area.
Woodlands,
Okay,
exactly.
All right. But found a place that you said, okay, this is where we can make our mark.
It was really like so
I was going to say,
she
why
loved
did
it.
Yvette want to
I
be
liked
here?
it. From where I grew up in California, it reminded me of that area, just Central California, more rural towns. I grew up outside of the city, just about the same distance we are from Waco. And so I wanted to go back to that. I wanted to get away from the city. I hated having neighbors, all those
So
things.
while yes, she is a Californian, she's a farmer's daughter.
Yes.
I
She's
will
like
say those
more
of us from
country than
Waco-
I am. Actually,
I mean, Texas,
growing
it's
up.
like California. People have these ideas about Texas, and Texans have ideas. Even though I visited California,
Yeah.
I think Southern California
Yeah.
or San Francisco. And when someone says Waco reminds me of California, I'm like, huh.
Yeah, you would
Explain that to me.
not think that.
But
And it's
now I
funny.
understand.
Same thing. She was like, before coming to Texas, she's like, thought it was all just like desert and cowboys and everything. And I was like, well, we have that over in
West
this
Texas.
part,
Right.
But there's a lot more to it. And
Right.
it's same thing with California. They've got the sunny beaches and all that, but there's a lot more to it.
Okay, so you got here and you started with a trailer here, is that right?
It was down in on
was-
Austin Avenue.
Yeah, it was at the coffee shop.
Right.
Pinewood.
That's where I've had your barbecue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now trailers are great you can get just, well, I think there was one that got a Michelin star this year somewhere down in Mexico or whatnot.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Right. But you have to make a move at some point to a brick and mortar. So what was that decision-making process like, and how do you accomplish
Well,
that?
so hold on, before you
Okay.
get to that,
All right.
when you
Don't
were
answer
in the
that question.
trailer, so how many employees, I mean, was it just you, and how did you get,
So it
was
started
it an
at
all-night
us.
thing, or?
Yeah, it started as just the two of us.
And then I got fired because I got pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
And-
illegal. You can't fire somebody because they're pregnant.
She took a new job, raising
There you
me.
go.
There you go, that's different.
I was falling asleep in the trailer during my first trimester.
I would go from the trailer around to the parking lot to throw logs on the fire because our pit was behind and our trailer was over on the side. And I would come back and there'd be somebody standing at the window trying to order, and she's passed out in the corner of the trailer. And I was like, we can't keep doing
I
this.
understand.
Oh yeah, I mean she's like first trimester, and it's like right now of
Right.
that
Yeah.
2018. So we're like thick of summer, July, August, it's like 110 in that trailer,
Oh.
and she's in there suffering. So I was like, yeah, we got to get you out of here.
Okay.
Okay, so now you
Then
went
I
to
hired
brick
two
and mortar.
part-time guys.
Okay.
I started with one that I was just that was helping me just with running service in the trailer and also helping with some prep like for sides and whatnot. And then I was seeking out. Actually, I wasn't really seeking out. I think
He found
Kevin
us.
kind of found us and asked if I'd be interested in teaching him sort of an apprenticeship. And so that guy worked for us part-time for like 3 years, I want to say, just doing really just enough to let me like pull back a little bit from the crazy hours of working the pits, so that I could, be with her and our son.
And that's what I want to know. What are the hours to working the pits?
Yeah,
I mean,
when-
what does it take?
When I was,
Back in those days.
yeah, back in those days, I was there, so I was probably up around like 2:30. I would get to
That's AM,
the,
right?
yeah, I get to the pit about 3 o'clock, and then I wouldn't be done until usually about 6 p.m. And that was, that was why
That's-
at that.
I'm amazed
Doing
y'all
the
had
math,
a
that's
baby
15
during
hours.
that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a long day.
Yeah.
Wow.
And okay, so I've eaten a ton of it. We can all tell, but I'm not a maker of it. Talk about why it takes so long and
The
why those
process.
hours
What's the
exist.
process?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, big part of it is at that time, and then even still now, even though we have like, I don't know, 8 times the pit space that we did when we started out, you got to cook your ribs and turkey and everything that you're cooking for that day's service that morning. You got to get that stuff done, and then you can put your briskets on for the next day. And so that's what takes, and everybody does their cook schedule
Right.
a little bit differently, but the way we've kind of always done it, similar to a lot of places, is you cook your briskets throughout the day. They come off late in the evening, they rest, and then they go into your holding cabinets, which are like temperature controlled, and they stay in there all night until service the next day. And that's actually kind of considered part of the cooking process. It's a very important part of it. And so that's what we would do. And especially with one pit, it was like, I got to get all that stuff done before I can then put the briskets on. And then that's about anywhere from a 12 to a 16-hour cook, depending on the size of the briskets. It's just a big, tough cut of meat. It takes a long time to break down all the connective tissue and the fat to get it tender.
All right, so you guys started getting good press almost immediately, in
Right.
my recollection.
It was pretty fast.
Yeah. So, and it sounds like there's so many decisions that have to go into that. Like one we just talked about is time, and then how do I store it, and what meat am I using? Where is it coming from? What wood am I using? Where is it coming from? Is that all trial and error, or but like, I guess what I'm saying is, it might not seem like it to you, but it seemed like you hit pretty quickly on that, on whatever your formula is.
It's changed throughout the years.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I'm as much of a as obsessive as I am. I am a tinkerer.
It can always be better. No.
So
Yeah, she would get frustrated with me.
Like, it's
because
already great. Like,
she's
why
like,
are we doing this?
Why are you still messing with this?
Right. Mhm.
Like, I think it's great. I'm like, it can be better. And so that process actually, while I'm glad we were able to put forward a product consistently enough that people deemed worthy of coming back for, I didn't feel like our brisket was really at its best to where I stopped messing with it until 2021. It was like summer of 2021, so about 4 years ago, that I stopped messing with the brisket process.
And Yvette cheered?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Throw 'em a party.
Yeah.
And
It's
part of it,
done.
yeah, part of
For
it
now.
is just, lots of trial and error, trying different brands. I mean, me and our head pitmaster will joke about, times where we had 4 different brands of brisket on the smoker at the same time with varying numbers of toothpicks in each brisket with like a grid on a whiteboard, noting which brand was how many toothpicks, and then we'd have to track those to the cutting block and then
That's the
get
science
notes.
in him.
I was
It's like
thinking
he was a
that is-
chemistry
very
person.
scientific.
Chemistry, math, like that's how his brain is. And
I'm
so
very
that makes
impressed.
sense to him.
I
I
was
just
There's
thinking-
a process to everything, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you figured out the process, and you can't just.
Well, I'm going to say it's the science brain, but it is also, and I read it up there, it's also the perseverance and sort of the passion and love for it that actually, and that's so impressive. So, all right, so then you move out to Valley Mills, which is between Waco and Clifton and Meridian, right on Highway 6, but not in the place you are today, in a different place. So
Correct.
tell us a little bit about getting into a brick and mortar and sort of how that translated.
So we found that they found us actually. Valley Mills Vineyards used to be in that location, and they had like dinner or
Wine tasting.
tastings on Saturday
nights.
nights, and they would have different food trucks come out. We're like, oh, this is cool. Like we'll try it out. We would do more on a Saturday evening there over 3 hours than we would during the week.
Yeah,
Like it was pretty
Thursday and
crazy.
Friday. I think that point in time we were
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Thursday through Saturday,
Yeah.
because that's back to my cook schedule.
Right.
Like I'm starting Wednesday.
Yeah.
I could only do 4 days of that schedule before I just like
Right.
Right.
burn
Yeah,
out.
it's not physically
Yeah,
possible.
So
I
we
mean,
did-
our Sundays I would just sleep all day.
Yeah.
So.
And so we did that, and then they let us know, hey, we're moving out to the vineyard. We just built the big tasting room out in Valley Mills, so we're going to move out there. Y'all should talk to our landlord about taking over our lease. And so we did, and that's how we ended up in there.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
just kind of found our market there. It seemed like
And
just
so, what year was that?
that would have been 2019 that
2019.
we moved in.
We
Yeah.
signed our lease in March, and then opened up in
End of May. It was like
End of
Memorial
May.
Weekend, basically.
And again, so that's not a major population center, and I mean it's a little bit removed from Waco,
Yeah.
even,
Which we like.
right? I know you like it
That
for
was very
lifestyle,
happy.
but the,
A lot of people thought we were crazy.
Right.
Yeah, we had a lot of people telling us, like, why would
Why?
you leave this area? We're like, there's something out there.
Right.
And I mean, we live out in this direction too, so that was part of it for us.
Well, and one thing that I see is that for whatever reason, people will travel for barbecue
Oh,
Yes.
where they might not really for any other
Anything.
food that I
Barbecue
can
is
think of.
destination.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So
yeah.
why is that?
It's part of our culture,
Right.
you know. It really is like it. And I always reference whenever we talk about this phenomenon, right? The big freeze in 2021. We were able to get open.
That
First of all,
Thursday.
the restaurant never lost power. We never had any pipes burst. We didn't have any
Somehow.
issues, which was a miracle. I'm
With
not
that
kidding.
building.
In that building, miracle. No insulation in that place, by the way.
And Snowmageddon just spared you.
And,
It spared us.
and we were able to get open
That
like
Thursday.
one day before everything else. I mean, people were driving, sliding across the ice to come get barbecue.
We
and
sold out so fast
We
that
sold
day.
out in like 2 hours that day. There's literally ice and snow in the parking lot,
Right.
and there were Encore trucks out there. It was like everybody was like, "There's something to do now." They've been
Right.
they've been
Cooped
holed
up.
up in their house for
I
the
mean,
last
even
few
kind
days.
of with COVID too.
COVID was similar too.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true. You survived COVID.
We
We grew.
thrived.
That
through
was
COVID.
actually
It was
when we
of course, we had
grew.
nowhere but up to go at that
Yeah.
point. Like we were really, the bar was pretty low for us at that point. But we did start to grow during the pandemic, and then I always reference the ice storm because I think it's crazy the people were waiting in line outside
Right.
for us to open that day.
Well, there is that culture, and it's like, even if it's not that great, and y'all's is great, but people standing in line, if you see a barbecue place with a line, you're like, okay, I got to stop. Because,
Yeah.
man, that's good. I
Yeah.
mean, and
Or-
we have-
or
we
like,
have
oh, I
stayed
gotta
in
go
some
check that
lines.
place out
Right,
sometime.
right. So,
So, and we did talk, we're off camera about line culture, and I've always wondered whether that is, some people force it to to give them that sort of veneer of
Sure.
success.
Yeah.
You think that
Franklin's,
happens?
we
Or?
still have not gotten Franklin's.
We haven't
We
either.
haven't either. Yeah. I mean, I would say like maybe early on in the barbecue boom, which I would put about, so like Franklin opened in 2009, they made #1 in 2013. That was when the boom really started, was after they made #1 on the Texas Monthly List. So around that time, there were, still people it was kind of slow to start as far as more places that were in that craft sort of category opening up. And around that time, I think maybe nowadays it's too competitive to do that,
Right.
because there's so many other great places
Right.
that you can go to that don't have as, slow of a line to where they're like, well, I don't see the hype.
Well, Texas Monthly certainly boosts the whole barbecue scene and
Yeah.
just anything. I mean, like we got started kind of with this idea when we wanted to go to all the best small
They listed
cafes.
best
Yeah.
So we
40
did that,
small-town
and
cafes.
then we did the barbecue, and I was a 4th grade teacher, and we went and did all the barbecue.
So
So-
Melissa said, asked you about the competition earlier and whatnot, and I will contend that the real competition is getting on that top 50
Yes.
list.
Yeah.
That is like
Yeah.
real competition.
Yeah.
That's sort of the difference between a weekend
The weekend
golfer
warrior.
and being on a PGA Tour event, right?
Absolutely.
So give your bona fides. I think you've been listed in the top 50 twice. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And this year, right?
Right?
Yeah.
This
This
is
year.
just the
Mhm.
most
Yes, I
recent
have.
one, and that is an amazing accomplishment. It's sort
It
of
really is.
barbecue royalty, I guess, in
Oh, we are sitting with royalty.
we
aren't we?
are in the state that puts the most emphasis on it.
Definitely.
So,
Okay, so
tell us about the first. How do you find out? Like, how does that happen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. So I mean, as you can imagine, by this point in time, I've listened to hours of Texas barbecue podcasts and interviews with other pit
The
masters,
obsessiveness.
and met as many people as I can, and made those introductions and everything. And so I had already kind of known how it works, and they have fact checkers, because anytime you're going to go into print, they have to do all the fact checking before they send the magazine to print. And so that is the official, once you know, is when you get a call and they say, hey, this is so-and-so from Texas Monthly Magazine. We're fact checking an article that they don't say the list. They
Right.
don't say those words, but they do say we're fact checking an article in our upcoming print magazine that y'all are featured in, and then they start asking a bunch of questions. And
So when that happens, do you put your hand over the phone and do like a little happy dance and then go, okay, yes, I'm ready.
yeah, I think my heart, just about stopped the first time. And then like you just feel on cloud
Made it.
9
Yeah.
for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so gratifying.
And then you
especially
second
the
guess
first
yourself
time.
and think it's for something else.
That's her. I'm like,
Kind of the same.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
like, what if it's for this or that or whatever? No, it's
They
so.
caught us.
I just remember the first time that when the list came out in 2017, that was when that summer was when we first started taking barbecue seriously, doing catering. We had actually announced ourselves as a business, like incorporated and all of that, and started, advertising for catering and all of that. And then the 2017 Texas Monthly List comes out. Snows is #1. I remember being in our kitchen in California still, scrolling through all the names on that list, and daydreaming about seeing our name on the list one day.
That's so great.
And then we opened our trailer a year after that, and then it wasn't until 2021. I mean, you gotta think like the list only comes out every 4 years.
Right.
So we, some places, and this isn't a knock against them at all. I mean, I don't think people necessarily plan this out, but for some places that have made it, they open and then like the next year they're top 50 and they just shoot up to that success. We put in 3.5 years of the grind before
That list came out.
Before that list came out.
The long-time overnight sensation, right?
I'm
Yeah.
going to say, though, that had to have been
So
a little bit
gratifying.
more rewarding
Yeah.
than just that instant
Well,
gratification.
it's funny, our stomach dropped when the list came out actually that first list, because we were listed under Woodway. And so
Which we
remember
still
that.
are.
and we still are. So you're
I read it,
scrolling,
and I
it goes
thought-
Waco, it goes Guest Family, and then it goes Westlaco, Teddy's, and we're like, wait, what? I thought we made it. Kept scrolling, and then Woodway was the very last
Like,
one on the list. We're like,
and that's my
okay.
fault because they
Well, you fact checked. You gave the
They
wrong
fact
fact.
checked. Well,
because at the
technically this is a
time,
Woodway address.
and it is a Woodway address.
Oh.
So was that one too.
We paid
Believe
a
it or not.
Midway ISD.
Yeah,
That's where
our
our
property
taxes
taxes
go.
go to Midway IC.
Wow.
Okay.
So there is more to your story.
Right,
So
so-
we know you're a great pit master, and you've got your brick and mortar. And one of the things we love, you've got this Helberg Barbecue sign, and it talks about perseverance. And it's not just about making the barbecue. Tell everyone a little bit of what you have persevered. You have quite the story. Who gets to tell it?
Do you want to? Do you want me to?
I'll tell it.
Okay.
Or at least start it.
I'll interject. How about
Yeah,
that?
interject. That's fine. Keep me on track. So yeah, November of 2023, we were at home. It was a Sunday evening. We were making deer sausage for a friend. Boys were. I was making Christmas cookies. And we get a call from a friend. And he says, your restaurant's on fire. And I was like, wait, what are you talking about? And he's like, I'm serious, your restaurant's on fire right now. You need to get there. And he lived about halfway to the restaurant from our house. So he beat us there.
Had he called the fire department already?
Yeah, so
or-
somebody, he got a call from a friend who drove by and had called the fire department. And
Okay.
a bunch of people had called
Right.
that drove by.
Yeah.
So
Bunch
our-
of concerned citizens.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's no, mind you, there's no sophisticated alarm system in this place
Right.
like we have in this
Right,
one.
right.
Yes.
So people found out it was on fire by driving by and seeing it on
Right.
fire.
Yes. So our friend showed up there. He remembered that there were propane tanks behind our trailer. So he ran back there with an off-duty fireman who showed up and drove by.
Wow.
And they went and pulled those tanks before that caused an explosion.
That is a friend.
Luck. Yeah, well, he told the off-duty fireman that there were propane tanks back there. He's like, hey, let's. So they ran around and pulled him just in the nick of time. Actually, one of them had already fireballed, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, so then we were outside, and we beat the fire department there too. Because you have to remember, out here it's all volunteer.
Volunteer.
Yeah,
Sure.
Spiegelville's volunteer, but I think we ended up having Waco, China Spring,
Valley
and
Mills.
Valley Mills all showed up.
And then
and then the Spiegelville obviously did too.
yeah, and so I was like 7:30 that everyone finally showed up. I think.
No, it was like we didn't get the call until 7:45, I think. But anyway, it was
Tomatoes,
it was
tomatoes.
about half an hour, I think.
Give or take.
I don't know. When you're watching
you're-
your building burn
Oh,
down, like
right.
time just
Yeah, there's no gauge of time.
Yeah.
But I do remember people pulling over and customers of ours going home to Valley Mills or Clifton. And one lady just pulled me aside and gave me a hug because I was crying, and she just prayed. And I love that, you know. And in that, I remember falling to my knees, and I texted our pastor. I texted my women's Bible study group, our life group, anybody that was in my phone from our church. I basically texted and said, and just copied and pasted, our restaurant's on fire right now. I need all the prayer I can humanly get right now. And our staff showed up that night. A chunk of them showed up after things, well, most of the fire was out. Yeah,
people from our church showed up.
Right.
People
So-
from our church showed up with
It
hot
was.
chocolate.
It got around.
Right.
Not spread.
Yeah.
Because my daughter
it was.
texted
I'm on Baylor.
One of her friends said, "Hey, Helberg's is on fire."
So yeah, like our
So-
pastor, his phone was on Do Not Disturb because he was with his life group. His daughter called him, said, "Hey, Dad, you need
one
to
of
check
the
the news."
one of the emergency.
One of the
I can get
emergency
through,
type people,
right,
yeah. Hey, you need to check your phone. Helberg is on fire.
All right, so you sort of stole my question because you are obviously a faith-based business, and that, you know, your trajectory up to that point had been pretty positive. I mean, you worked hard, you deserved all of that and all the rest of it, but it's like, okay, we're being blessed, and then this happens, right? So tell us about, was there a struggle to wrap your head around it, or I mean, I know you had a lot of support, but tell us just a little bit about how you work just psychologically and, you know, spiritually through something like that.
I mean, that night, 2 a.m. that morning, we're sitting on the floor in the kitchen eating cereal or something. Like, what are we doing? Are we
Yeah.
gonna reopen? Are we gonna push to reopen? Or are we gonna just call it? Because most would just probably call it in that situation. So we had really bad insurance coverage, and that really played a part in a lot of our decisions too.
When you're watching your building burn, you don't want to be figuring out your theology.
Right.
during that time.
Yeah.
You also don't.
Worst time, right?
Worst
You
time to
also,
figure
you also don't want to be figuring out what your insurance coverage is
Right.
during that,
Yeah.
or isn't.
Yeah.
In our case.
We found out what it wasn't.
And so, like, yes, throughout the years there were many blessings mixed in with a lot of poor, naive decisions that were made.
Well, give yourself some grace. You were very young to be
Yes,
doing that.
we were very young.
And very young to have a restaurant burned down too,
Right.
to even be in the
Right,
business long enough for something like that to happen. But at that point in time, that was the only thing we had to cling to.
Yeah. I mean, the next morning, we went to the restaurant to check it out again in the daylight, and somebody drove by, and he prayed with us outside. And then I left and went to our church and met with staff just to kind of process a little bit. And then I went to my co-Bible study leader's house for the rest of the afternoon so she could hang with our son, and I could also decompress. And at the same time, we had our Valor interview that day. So
Just an aside.
It was a
I called. So
FaceTime.
I called the school and was like, "Hey, y'all know
Right.
what happened by now. Can we do this just as a phone call and not a FaceTime? I'm not at all like ready for this." They're like, "That's totally fine." So Wes called, and we chatted, and we were all good.
Right. So just for people that don't understand, Valor is a private school here in Waco where their son goes to now.
Yes.
And that's for parents when you're picking and trying to get the right fit for your children in school. That's obviously a big thing. So
Yeah.
you have all of this happening all
And
at
then
the
that
same
was
time.
literally that day. I was like, of all the
No
days.
stress. No
No.
stress at all.
But it's okay. But I mean, the guy who was in charge of our men's ministry showed up at the restaurant, not knowing Phil was there.
Yeah, I didn't tell anyone I was there. I wasn't really talking
To anybody.
to anybody. My phone was just, for about a month, I didn't have any less than 50 unread text messages at any given time.
Right.
And it was so overwhelming trying to just keep up with all of that. And then reporters kept showing up, news, media people kept showing up. I think I gave like 4 interviews that day.
Right.
But I was just so thankful that a couple of guys from a recent Bible study table that I had came up there, not even knowing I was there, but found me there. We prayed together. They brought me lunch. And they just hung out with me all day. Like, they just didn't let me be alone. And that was really, that feeling, carried us through. The next month was like, it was very difficult because we were getting the business restarted basically.
I am interjecting. I have
Yeah.
something to add to this. On the day after the fire, the verse, the Bible app, Bible Gateway, the verse of the day was 1 Peter 4:10, which is the verse of our business.
Yeah, that's what we
So
founded.
I didn't know that because I had given my phone to our electrician to make a call, and then he handed it back to me, and the Bible app was open, and I was like, "Did you?" He was like, "Oh no, I guess he must have just accidentally hit it." And at the very top verse of the day was 1 Peter 4:10,
Which is-
and I was like, "I see you, God.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see you right now."
So was it pretty early on through all this? Obviously, it was strong faith, but even a person with the strongest faith, it brings you to your knees. And so were you just almost immediately, did you decide, no, we're going to pick up and redo this? Or did it take some time?
We didn't, I mean, we had that conversation that night. Like she said, we finally got home, and there were a couple of things that we talked about, and I don't think I've ever said this in an interview before when we've talked about the fire, but I did look at her and I said, "Is it wrong that I feel relieved we don't have work tomorrow?" Because at this point in time, that year we went to 7 days a week. We had always been 5. We made the jump to 7 days a week.
And it was a
We grew
lot.
the business to having about 30 employees. We had like catering going on. We opened a trailer downtown that was going on at the same time. We just had so many irons in the fire, and I don't know what it was. I mean, I know now it was the enemy, like pushing me, giving, like, sowing those seeds of impatience and envy in my heart that, like, I just wasn't far enough in my career for that point in my life yet, and that I just needed to push and force this growth. And everything that was going on in our business that year, it seemed like was just resisting that. We had so many issues that year, even before the fire, and it was just constant stress, like more than it ever had been, more than the early days. I longed for. We had so many conversations about, I wish we could just
do a trailer.
I wish we could just take this
Backtrack
back
a
down
little bit.
to 4 or 5 days a week, lunch
Simplify.
only, like me cooking everything, cutting on the block and all that. Like I really missed those days, and I was overwhelmed. And when that happened, that I did say that, I was like, is it wrong that I feel this like sense of like a weight lifted off of my shoulder, this relief? And now I know what that really was. But then we also sat there and talked like, okay, so what are we gonna do? Like we had a choice at that point. We didn't have much debt. We had a couple, like a little equipment loans that we could pay off and be done. We could honestly just sell the equipment and pay everything off, and honestly walk away with a little bit of change in our pocket from the 4 years that we were in business by that point, 5 years maybe. But we went to sleep. We're like, we need to go to bed. And
how do you even go to sleep?
Yeah, and
Sheer exhaustion.
yeah,
The exhaustion,
we just dropped.
And then at 6:30 that next morning, our friends from Evie Mays in Lubbock, Texas, Wolfworth, texted and asked if they could start a GoFundMe for us. And I said, why not?
We said, you know what? We're not in a position to say no to anything.
Yeah, I can't say no. So they started a GoFundMe, Arnis and Mallory, and that raised more. That saved us.
Yeah, it raised about as much
Like, on
money
the
as
physical
we
end.
got. It pretty much doubled the money that we got from insurance, which was about half of what,
What
like
you
the
needed,
insurance
right,
was about
yeah.
half of what we needed.
Yeah, so-
The GoFundMe that they started, and then also the other local fundraisers. There were a lot of local small businesses that held like little fundraisers for us, and all of that together added up to end up really saving us. In
Well,
the
we
business.
talked about the line experience, and when you come to Helberg's and you stand in line, spend some time because your story is told on the wall.
Yeah.
And I love seeing that you're so vulnerable to the point that there is a picture of the fire.
Right.
And there's not a lot of people that can be that honest with their story. And so I think barbecue is great, but it's the
But
stories
it's
that
the
are most
pictures.
important.
Come to Helberg for the pictures. I don't
But
know
anyway,
if that's really.
Well, and our
that's
pastor
wonderful.
says use your mess as your message, and that's what we're trying. Like,
Beautiful.
that's all we can do.
So who took that picture of the fire?
I think that was my phone.
Yeah, I think it was a still from a video that she took.
Yeah, it was a still from a video.
Because that in itself has got to be, I'm sorry, it makes me
No,
cry.
you're good.
But yeah, they're so strong. And here the lady's like crying. But I think it's really amazing that you can take that and then move forward. So I do want to move a little forward because I want to know about the pits.
Yeah.
I mean, you look, and so you see their story, and then you turn the corner,
And there's the pits.
there's the pits.
Right.
You know, and I've been like to Cooper's, and you have to go outside.
Cooper's is so good though.
It is
Yeah,
so
we love
good.
Cooper's.
And it's so cool to see those pits, but it's really hot.
Yeah.
And so I love what you have here. I can see the pits, and I can stay cool.
Yeah.
So tell me about the pits.
Yeah, so we have a nice little collection in there, different types of smokers. So we have the one that's like right
By
up
the window.
right up by the window is a offset 1,000-gallon offset smoker that is pretty quintessential to most barbecue places. You'll see them everywhere now.
Okay, I know the barbecue people understand that, but what's an offset smoker?
Great question. So an offset smoker just means that the fire is it's indirect heat. So rather than building like a coal bed and then the meat goes directly over the coals, and that's actually what you see at Cooper's. That would be direct heat cooking or direct heat style cooking. Indirect or offset means we have a fire over here, we have a chimney on the other side, and then the cook chamber is in between. And so that chimney pulls the heat and smoke from the fire through the cook chamber and then up and out the chimney.
This one smells so good.
So that's
And so you'll see like the oldest versions of those that you'll see in Texas will be in Lockhart and in Taylor. They've got, and they're made out of brick. They have their brick, and then I think they're steel on the inside.
We've been to Lockhart.
Yeah,
we did one day and went to every single barbecue place.
Yeah, and you can do that there.
Yeah.
By the end of the day, we were
stuffed, I'm sure. Yeah.
Anyway, so
So that's,
go ahead.
that's our Moberg.
Yeah, that's our Moberg 1,000-gallon. It's built from a 1,000-gallon propane tank from the 1950s, I think. The older, the better. They're thicker walled, and so then
Next
we
to that
have.
is a Moberg museum.
Yeah, it's behind that, which I'll have to take you guys back there and show it to you. But it's a pit, very unique. It's a one of one. So Moberg, if you're not familiar, Sonny Moberg is one of the most famous smoker builders in the world, and he's right out of Dripping Springs, Texas. And he started to blow up like right around that same era after Franklin.
Sure.
Places started, and it was like a hashtag all around social media. It was "Got to get a Moberg," and everyone was obsessed with them, and we are still obsessed with it. We love it. But Brett Boren, who we mentioned earlier, was one of my friends that did competitions and also loaned us his trailer that he wasn't using after the fire. And we borrowed it for 18 months.
Wow.
He had that pit, and him and Sonny go way back. He was Sonny's first customer. And when he opened his place in Rockdale, that's now closed, who was also a top 50 barbecue joint, by the way.
I remember that.
And fantastic. I went and saw that pit there, and it's a hybrid indirect and direct. So we just talked about those two different cooking styles. It has slots underneath where you can shovel coals in there, kind of like what you see Tootsie doing at Snow's, and you can cook over direct heat. You also have a firebox and smokestacks built into the pit, so you can do indirect, or you can do both at the same time, which is what I really like to do, is sort of a hybrid method. And it is the only one of those that Sonny ever built or ever will build, because when I saw it, I told Brett, I was like, I got to get Sonny to make me one of those, and he goes, he won't. He just built this one for me and said, I don't want to do this anymore. And it makes sense, like the business that he's in, they're basically trying to manufacture those offsets, building the pieces and then putting all the pieces together. And he's got a really well-oiled machine going now. And anytime you're in manufacturing, like the more product mix that you have, the less efficient you are, basically. So it makes total sense. But I'm now the proud owner.
There you go.
One of one.
That is awesome.
So that's really cool. And
What do you cook on that?
then primarily pork steak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I'm dying.
Yeah, it's like a signature thing of ours. So yeah, and then behind that we have the real workhorses of the pit room, which are two M&M Barbecue Company wood-fired rotisserie smokers. So they hold about double the volume of one of those 1,000-gallon offsets.
Oh wow, that's big.
And each one of those does.
Right.
And it uses about half the amount of wood as one of those offsets. So it's 4 times more efficient.
Very efficient.
And you don't lose any of the smoke flavor or the authenticity whatsoever. There's no gas, there's no electric. It's the only electric is that turns the motor inside, but it's all wood fire that
So
cooks
tell me
it.
about the wood.
The wood we use is post oak, which is common to our style of barbecue, Central Texas style. It's a subspecies of white oak. Quercus stellata is the scientific name for it.
The science.
Scientist.
Were you great in high school science? I mean,
Yeah, I was a chem nerd.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
I was
right,
a
okay.
chem
So
nerd.
is there a chemistry teacher you want to give a shout out to, or is that?
I would, Miss Champagne was
Okay.
my, and then I also have to give a shout out to we called her Doc. Unfortunately, she passed away from cancer a few years ago. But she was my AP Chem teacher, and she was the one who really lit a fire under me. Not
pun
literally,
intended.
not literally,
No pun
but she ignited my passion for it. And at the same time, I was like getting into just like being a geek in the kitchen. And Alton Brown was a heavy influence of mine early on. I watched every episode of Good Eats and read the books and everything. So just learning. I mean, to me, it seemed like the fastest way from point A to point B on anything is in a straight line, and understanding how all of it works at a scientific molecular level seemed like the fastest way to understand it wholly.
Okay, so I'm going to ask because now you've mentioned the barbecue boom in Texas. I mean, Texas Monthly pushed it. Franklin sort of exploded when they started to show up in Austin, and people started making a lot of money in Austin and whatnot. There have to be people that want to get into the business because they view it as a lucrative business.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, I've always had this passion for, right?
Yeah.
And then I see, great barbecue places close.
Yeah.
And it's like, so talk a little bit about what the business environment you're in now in craft barbecue is like.
Expensive.
Everything's expensive. I mean, it's yeah, and there's plenty of people that'll see, you know, the lines and they see the prices and everything and think like these guys got to be just raking it in. And I would compare it and buy if you just boil it down to the numbers and you just look at the numbers of a barbecue joint, they mirror the numbers of a high quality steakhouse in almost every way. It's high top line, high bottom line. So you have, yes, your ticket prices are higher than the average lunch, but the expenses, the cost that it took to get there are also high. So you're just counting on being able to maintain a nice modest margin up at that high top line, bottom line to get by.
It would strike me as that's the risk of it is that if you miss a little bit and you have a lower bottom line, it's when you have that big nut you have to meet. That's really
like the top line has to be there because the bottom line is going to be up no matter what. There's really no way around that. We did the best that we could to get around that with like you start in a trailer, which is like a lot of barbecue places start in trailers. We had a cheap lease at first, you know, which then ended up not being cheap because we had other issues that cost a lot of money there. And you know, one of the best things that running a barbecue business has going for it is it's not an expensive build out. Like this, you know, it's nice and it's way nicer than anything we ever had before. But like every time I go in a Tex-Mex restaurant, I look around, I'm like, it's so ornate, you know, or like an Italian place, like they have to just deck it out to the nines.
And the ambiance for us is you want the smell.
You want picnic tables.
And you want to be comfortable.
Right, if you decked it out, people would say, this isn't the real thing. I'm leaving.
So. It has that, like authentic with barbecue happens to go hand in hand with cost
you want to
effective.
feel like you're at your weekend barbecue. You know, it's a comfort that we have.
All right.
How many pitmasters do you have to have?
So for our current operation, we have
One head.
our head pitmaster, and then
And she's been with us for
she's been with us 5 years. 5 years uninterrupted this stint.
And it's a woman.
She
It
was
is.
with us before.
I love that.
Right.
So Candace started with us in 2019.
Candace is this generation's Tootsie.
Yeah, that's right. And in every way, because she doesn't want to be recognized either. But yeah, she like doesn't go to festivals.
She's been
any
with
of that.
us longer than 5, but we had to let her go at one point, and then she came back.
It was the
Says
hardest.
a lot about you.
That was one of the hardest
Yeah,
let-goes
because we
ever
actually had to do a couple of layoffs at the end of 2019.
18.
And no, it was 19.
Back
It was
then.
after the. It was after
Back
the.
then.
Yeah.
It was after the restaurant opened, so it was
Yeah.
19. But then, like we talked about, we actually grew during the pandemic. A restaurant that she went to closed during the pandemic, and we were able to get her back. So,
nice.
and then she's been with us ever since. So
let's bring it full story.
she's got
full circle.
4. She's got 4 guys. So she
Four
has
guys.
2. I'm sorry, 3.
She has 3.
Yeah, she has 3.
And how involved are you now?
Not very.
Well, you're the mastermind or the
like the extent. I'm more. I don't get in there and tinker as much because I've trained Candace very well. She's a really good trainer as well. And then I do still spend time every week on the cutting block. And at this point in time, it's sort of like I don't really care how you got there as long as you got there. And as long as the appearance, the texture, the flavor, all of that is right, you run your pit room how you want to, you know. And so I get up there on the cutting block, and I don't hold back on anything if something's not
And
right.
I'm going to say Candace probably appreciates that because it sounds
100%. Yeah.
it's an art. I
Yeah.
mean, it is an art.
Yeah.
So now bring us full circle.
So we've talked a lot about this place, but so you are across the street and a little bit down from where you were. When you decided, okay, we're still going to be a brick and mortar, we're going to do this, what was the process like of getting up and running here?
So we had purchased this land in 2021.
Oh,
So you
I didn't
already
know
had
that.
it?
Yes.
Okay.
So we had been sitting on this land with the intention of eventually moving onto it, or hoping to.
Yeah.
We still had a couple other things we were weighing out, but we had purchased this to, you know, if we want to sell it, then we can sell it, or
Right.
we can build on it. The fire accelerated
it.
everything.
All right.
And we had already been working on restaurant plans for 2 years.
Okay.
So things had already been moving
We didn't
behind
realize
the scenes.
how long it takes to really like
Well,
plan something.
we kept changing our mind on some things too, but that
Yeah.
was the time to change your mind was when you're planning versus
in the middle of construction.
in the middle of construction.
Right.
So we
Change
wanted it
orders
to
aren't
be
good.
just
Yeah.
how we wanted it.
Well, and we didn't mention this, but after the fire, you guys were up and running pretty,
3
really
weeks.
It's 3.5. So fire was the
20.
evening of the 26th. We reopened December 23rd. So it was a little bit less than a month, and it was the best Christmas gift that we could have gotten was getting the trailers. Because when we opened back up, we were in trailers on the property where the building had burnt. We were running a drive-through around the burnt building.
We had our friends at Chick-fil-A, shout out Baylor Chick-fil-A for your help.
They had us come site plan the drive-through for us.
Because who better than
Awesome.
Who better
Chick-fil-A?
than
Right,
Chick-fil-A?
they
That
are
is-
the best.
That is.
What is
yeah,
it that they say?
My pleasure.
My
Yeah, my
pleasure.
pleasure.
So did you say that?
I don't know, did they?
I don't think so, but we did have the walkie-talkies and the earpieces
Right.
and everything.
Right.
And
That is
we
awesome.
tried to run the drive-through as efficiently as we could, and there were some days like we were able to pump
I
some
was going to
serious
say,
food
who's
out of
better,
that.
Chick-fil-A or
Chick-fil-A
you?
will always be
Chick-fil-A will
better.
always have us beat, 100%, 7 days a week. I would usually say 7 days a week and twice on
Six.
Sundays,
But only
but
six.
6 days a week.
Right, yes.
And
But-
so tell us your hours, because whether you live in the Waco area or whether you live far away, Helberg's is a destination. So we want you to come and have some, I want that, I haven't tried that pork steak.
Yeah, you gotta have
After
it.
reading about
Have
it.
you had the chicken?
No.
Okay, so I would say when you come, get those two things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even
Like,
though
forget
I've always
everything
been
else.
a brisket person.
Yeah, get the chicken half and get the pork steak.
Yes.
Your
Those are the things
wallet
you
will
really-
thank you, and your tummy will thank
And
you.
your tummy will thank you,
Hey,
yes.
all right.
Yeah.
So tell us, kind of give us all your handles, exactly where you're located.
So we are Wednesday to Sunday, lunch and dinner Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday we are 10 to 3, and every day is until we sell out as well.
Yeah,
No,
it's like
that's-
asterisk
Asterisk until
beside
we
all
sell
of those
out.
hours.
People should understand that
Yes. That's
if
part
it's
of
your
our
first.
They
Thank you.
should.
Right.
There may be people watching this podcast
Right.
that are watching it to become educated about
Yes.
Texas
Right.
barbecue.
And
Yeah.
so-
We
We
are
run
op-
out of meat, we're done for the day.
And we
Right.
have a list right when you walk in down the hall, down after the pictures that tells you what we're out of.
Right.
My advice when you go to any barbecue, don't come 10 minutes before they close.
Right. No.
You'll
Also-
get disappointed.
So something that's kind of unique to us compared to a lot of other places, we give you the ability to call us. You can call and ask, hey, do you still have food left?
There you go.
I highly recommend doing that before you drive
Right.
20 minutes and then get mad at me.
That was something that,
I won't get
because of our
I'll never
location
get
out
mad at
here,
you that.
because of our location out here on Highway 6, about 15 minutes from downtown Waco, we know a lot of people are coming from out of that direction, and that's something with barbecue that you got to weigh out whether before you make that trip. And so a lot of places don't do that. We do for that reason, because we want to save you that trip if possible.
There are so many businesses in the world now that you just can't call anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it's just
I will say we do have online ordering now,
Right.
and we do try to steer most people. If
Right.
you're going to call to order,
Just order it
We
and-
try to steer you in that
But
direction.
if you want to call and see what we have left, go
yeah,
for it.
that's like a totally fair game. We'll always
Okay.
tell you.
And so if somebody wants to follow you, your social media handles
Yes.
are
Helberg Barbecue.
Helberg Barbecue spelled,
Spelled.
there's BARBECUE.
the
Okay.
yes, there you have to be specific about
There's
how you're
barbecue, BBQ.
it-
They-
Barbecue with a
with
Q.
Q.
Right.
So we're with a C. But yeah, otherwise you won't find us.
right?
You find Helberg.
If you
Yeah.
type Helberg in, it'll probably pop up.
Helberg.
Right,
You
that'll
type
get
that
you
in,
there.
you'll find us.
Well, this has been so much fun. I am sad that it's a closed day. We will be back.
Good.
But what a story. It's not just about the barbecue. But come for the barbecue, go for the line experience and see the story and
That's
eat.
and eat.
And see some remnants of our old restaurant.
Right.
The cow
Yes.
behind you is from the old
We
restaurant.
actually sawzawed that
We,
out of
a
the
friend and I
wall.
sawzawed that when they were demoing the building. They were like, today's the last day you can get it out. So a friend from church and I went and sawzawed that out.
You go, girl.
The
Canvas
and
is
then
from there, and then there
flags
is
that I
the
showed
Texas
y'all.
flag that's in the pit room is also from the old restaurant.
So I know he told us a little bit about his growing up and when he sort of got the passion for it. when you were growing up in Fresno, California, did you ever expect anything like this?
I was either going to go in the wine industry because my dad grew wine grapes, or eventually baseball.
Right.
And here I am
Right.
Yeah.
in Texas selling barbecue.
Well, we are.
Baseball and barbecue, they're not too far apart.
They're not
So
too far
it's good.
apart.
And you
American.
are, okay, I'm going to go through a corny pun out there. You are definitely in the big leagues now.
Oh, thank
Nailed that. Yes.
That was
As
great.
Scotty would say, nailed it.
That was like A-level dad joke there.
All right. So thanks so much for being with us. Again, all the stuff on Helberg's will be, it's also on our website, all the rest of that. Make sure you stop by if you're anywhere close and like, share, subscribe, do all those things, the social media things with us, and tell a friend about Texas 10.
And I'm going to tell you, there's nothing more Texan than barbecue. See ya.
And I love this land. Oh, it takes my breath away. From the Palo Duro to the Gulf Coast plain. From the heart of the hill country to the piney wood shade. I love this land. It takes my